Hi guys, so we are the group 4 and our topic for this video is globalization and the millennials. Globalization is a widely used term in politics and economics, driven by policies that open economies domestically and internationally. Governments have adopted free market economic systems, reducing barriers to commerce and establishing international agreements. Corporations have built foreign factories and established production and marketing arrangements, creating an international industrial and financial business structure. Gen Y or millennials are deserving and commendable generation who achieve their goals and use resources effectively. They can change generations' perceptions and should unite to teach future generations and continue growth towards a better future. So, objectives. At the end of the chapter, the students will be able to identify the important moral challenges of globalization, discuss the pros and cons of globalization, construct a plan for coping with the challenges of globalization, state the qualities of millennials, and compare responses to shared moral dilemmas of baby boomers and millennials. So, Lesson 1. Origin and nature of globalization. So, introduction. Globalization is the expansion and intensification of economic, political, social, cultural, and judicial relations across borders, driven by reduced transportation and communication costs, new information technologies, and liberalization in markets. It often involves political decisions about deregulation, free trade, and market integration. Globalization changes lifestyles and living conditions, offering new opportunities and risks to some. Transnational organizations like the World Bank, United Nations, and European Union face challenges in responding to globalization. What is globalization? Globalization is a process of interaction and integration among the people, companies, and government of different nations. A process that driven by international trade and investment and aided by information technology. This process has effects on the environment and culture, on political systems, on economic development and prosperity, and on human physical well-being in the societies around the world. So globalization is a process sa interaction o integration between sa mga people. So sa mga people, sa mga companies o sa mga governments o sa laing-laing mga nasod. Ug ang nagdala ani kay ang international trade ug mga investment ug gitabangan kini siya sa information technology. Kini siya nga process kung ano siya kanang epekto ni siya sa atong. So kini nga process na ani siya epekto sa atong environment, sa atong culture system, culture o political system ug sa economic development, sa prosperity ug sa human physical well-being in societies ug sa lain-laing mga lugar. Globalization is seen as a conscious and active process of expanding business and trade across the borders of all the states. It stands for expanding cross-border facilities and economic linkages. This is to be done with a view to secure an integration of economic interests and activities of the people living in all parts of the world. The objective of making the world a truly interrelated, interdependent, developed global village governs the ongoing process of globalization. So ang globalization po kuno kay gilook forward ni siya nga usa ka free ug active siya nga process sa paglambo sa negosyo ug sa mga trading sa lain-laing lugar. Nya nagstand pud ni siya as expanding cross-border facilities and economic linkages between sa mga country. Nya ang objective ani niya is himuon niya ang world as paghiusa sa mga international interest o sa mga interest o para sa mga tao nga namuyo sa lain-laing lugar. Globalization represents the desire to move from national to a global sphere of economic and political activity. It seeks to transform the existing international economic system into a unified system or global economics in the existing system. National economies are the major players in the new system. The globalized economic and political activity will ensure sustainable development for the whole world. So globalization kuno nag-represent po ni siyang og kanang ganing hangarin para mubalhin sa national to global sphere or sa mga pandaigdigang larangan sa economic and political activity. Gamit pud ni siya para iyang bag-uhon ang mga nag-exist nga international economic system sa global economics. Sa may iral nga system, ang mga national economies ang first nga major player sa bag-o nga sistema. Ang globalized economic ug political activity mahimong first para sigurado niya agdugay ug lig-on nga paglambo sa world.
Technology has been the other principal driver of globalization. Advances in information technology, in particular, have dramatically transformed economic life. Information technologies have given all sorts of individual economic actors, consumers, investors, and businesses valuable new tools for identifying and pursuing economic opportunities, including faster and more informed analysis of economic trends around the world, easy transfer of assets, and collaboration with far-flung partners. To find the right balance between benefits and costs associated with globalization, citizens of all nations need to understand how globalization works and policy choices facing them and their societies. According to Edward S. Herman, globalization is both an active process of cooperate, expansion across borders, and structure of cross-border, facilitates an economic linkage that have been steadily growing and changing. According to Bayless and Smith, globalization is a process whereby social relations acquire relatively distanceless and borderless qualities. Reasons for globalization. There are several key factors which have influenced the process of globalization.
Several other new states adopted a mixed economic model. Ownership and control over key industries was entrusted to the public sector. It was deemed essential for securing a better mobilization of resources and for providing better services to the people. State regulation of economy and industry was practiced and the public sector was patronized by the state. private sector was given a lesser role in the economic system. However, the experience with the working of command economy was mixed economy models was found to be inadequate, slow, and unproductive. By by 1980s, economies of socialist countries began collapsing. In 1990s, the world witnessed the collapse of socialist economies, in particular the Soviet economy and political system. In 1991, the USSR suffered a disintegration. The weaknesses of all socialist economies became fully clear, and all socialist countries began witnessing a process of overthrow of socialist system. Liberalization of politics and economy came to be recognized as the necessity of the day. All countries of the world began realizing the merits of the market economy. Free trade, privatization, liberalization, delicensing, and deregulation of trade, industry, and businesses. In 1991, the several states decided to go in for liberalization of economy. A new economic policy was formulated and implemented with an emphasis upon new economic reforms. These were governed by the principle of liberalization, privatization, market economy, free trade, deregulation, and delicensing. These reforms paved the way for initiating the process of liberalization and globalization of several states' economy. Similar changes were adopted by other states, including the Philippines.
Liberalization and economy came to be recognized as the necessity of the day. All countries of the world began realizing the merits of the market economy, free trade, privatization, liberalization, delicensing, and deregulation of trade, industry, and business. In 1991, the several states decided to go in for liberalization of economy. A new economic policy was formulated and implemented with an emphasis upon new economic reforms. These were governed by the principles of liberalization, privatization, market economy, free trade, deregulation, and delicensing. These reforms paved the way for initiating the process of liberalization and globalization of several states' economy. Similar changes were adopted by other states including the Philippines.
My topic is all about globalization on state function. In the era of globalization, the functions of the state began undergoing a change. With the increasing disinvestment of public sector, privatization was encouraged. Public sector was made to compete with the private sector, and as a whole open competition, free trade, market economy, and globalization were practiced. The role of state began emerging as that of a facilitator and coordinator, in place of an owner and controller. In fact, the process of globalization involves a change in the role of the state. However, this does not in any way mean readoption of laissez-faire or reversion to the principle of police state. Globalization has necessitated a change in the role of state. The state continues to be a welfare state performing all the protection functions as well as several social functions. It continues to act as a facilitator and coordinator of economy. The state continues to act as a welfare state, a natural and necessary institution performing protection and social welfare functions with some role in protecting and improving economic life of the people.